Hi everyone, my name is Sofia Esteves. I'm from F6S. Thank you once again for joining us this morning for the European Data Incubator Info Session. This is the second webinar that we are organizing, and it will be the last one that we will be doing before the first open call deadline. I would like to inform you that we are recording this session and we will make it available online for you and other EDI applicants. We will share all the presentations by email with everyone that registered. And as you can see in the page of the event on F6S, we will start with an introductory presentation of the European Data Incubator by Diego Dipina of the University of Deusto, who is the coordinator of EDI. Then we will have the open call guidelines by Sara Mateo from Zabala, who are the open call managers. Then we will have short presentations by our data providers who will present us some of the EDI challenges. And then we'll have time for questions and answers. When we get to questions and answers, please raise your hand or write your questions on the chat. So I will now pass the word to Diego.
Good morning to everybody and welcome to the second webinar. So I'm going to give you a quick go through the essence of the project, trying to explain you what we try to achieve. So let me start. Okay, so first of all, I want to let you know that we started the project back in January this year, and we are supposed to finish it in 3 years and a half, so by 30th of June 2021. And in the project, there are 20 partners. Interestingly, there are 5 core partners who are the ones that are actually running, organizing, monitoring, tracking the good progress of the incubation of big data solutions. That is what we want to do in this project. But part of the consortium, notably, there are already on board 15 big data providers in Europe across different sectors. And today, as Sofia stated, we will have the chance to get presentations from some of them that will be able to explain you what are the challenges that they want you to address for them, using the data that they will make available for those of you that have a good solution proposal for their challenges. So this slide that I'm showing you is actually depicting what the whole EDI project is about. As you can see, it has the shape of a funnel. There are many proposals that we hope start the incubation process, that they are submitted thanks to the F6S system that I hope that you are all aware of. Anyway, we will give you a quick reminder later. So the idea is that at the beginning of the funnel, we have a wide range of data sets provided by 15 data providers. And also we have the challenges that those data providers have supplied. So you open data, big data innovators in Europe, taking part in our open call, submit proposals through a system made available by F6S. Those proposals go through an evaluation process performed by external evaluators independent, that they don't belong to the consortium, and they select the top 45 proposals. Those top 45 proposals, during 2 months in the explore phase, they have to mature their proposal of solution. They have to give place to a mock-up. And they have to attend to a Datathon event in Berlin at the end of the 2nd month, where they will defend their idea from a technical and business point of view. 15 of those teams will be selected for the next phase, which is called experiment phase. And there you will have to embark in the actual implementation of the solution and in the development of an elaborated business plan. You will be appointed a coach that will help you in the process. You will be able to request the services from mentors, and you will get technical and business support across these 4 months from the core consortium partners, from those 5 partners I indicated in the previous slide. So those top teams that have the best technical solution together with the best, most convincing business plan, they will progress to the evolve phase. And there, about 6 teams will be helped to find further funding to make sure that they give place to sustainable big data solutions. The aim of this project is to achieve at the end of 3 iterations, 3 rounds around this incubation process, to give place to about 20 successful new data solutions in Europe. That they have 20 novel products that have perspectives to be successful, to be purchased, to get business out of them. So this is more or less, in an essence, in a very quick run through, what EDI is about. It's about giving place to sustainable big data solutions. So it is in the domain of big data, so you must use big data tools. You must demonstrate that you are using big data technology to solve, to address those problems. And eventually, what we want to do is to help European data economy. Regretfully, we are not leading the innovation on data solutions in the world, and the European Commission launched the call on which EDI was financed to promote actions that will help data economy in Europe. So EDI is one of those actions. So you are listening to us if you want to become an active agent in the European big data ecosystem. So we hope to help you become an active agent in this ecosystem. So EDI is actually addressed to big data innovators and entrepreneurs. It's also addressed indirectly to big data providers in Europe that need good solutions to the problems around the exploitation of their data. So you big data innovators and entrepreneurs have to solve real industrial challenges across a wide range of sectors. And those sectors are energy and environment, internet and media, smart cities, retail, and industry 4.0. Importantly, you have 2 options to take part in the EDI incubation program. You can either address a specific challenge proposed by one of our data providers, or you can analyze the data sets of 2 or more data providers in the consortium and come up, imagine, devise, create a new challenge that mixes data sets from different domains. So what do we offer you to ensure that you are successful creating these data solutions? So the Commission has given us 5 million euros for funding more than 100 big data startups and SMEs. And those companies, those teams will get involved in this incubation process consisting of 3 stages: explore, experiment, and evolve. They will be offered a free cloud environment for scalable data processing. So you don't have to incur in the heavy costs of running computing intensive and storage intensive processes. The project is going to offer you that. The project is going to give you access to very interesting data sets. You don't need to contact with data providers to convince them that they have to give access to the data sets, and in exchange you can help them offer solutions. Those datasets are already available for you. We will be offering free business coaching and technical support across the whole incubation process. We will be offering also some training through webinars, through face-to-face workshops, both on technical and business promotion aspects. And finally, and very importantly, you will receive up to 100,000 euros in equity-free funding. So you will be the only owners of whatever you create. All the intellectual property generated will belong to you. However, of course, the datasets will still carry on belonging to the data providers. So in here, there is a win-win situation for both data providers and solution providers. And hopefully, they reach to agreements in which they can exploit the solutions that add value to their datasets. So the first incubation process, the first open call finishes the 27th of June. Here is the listing of the partners. And I will just go quickly through these two last slides before I pass the word to my colleagues from Zavala. So just a summary of the things that appear in bold in these slides. We start the project with 15 data providers, and you are supposed to solve their challenges or to imagine new challenges that mix two or more data sets from those providers. You're not going to be alone in this process. Startups, SMEs, will be offered technical and business services during the whole incubation process. You will have the chance to meet with the data providers. You will be appointed a coach. You will be helped every time you get stuck using the tools that we will be offering for you. We can also try to give you some support on the issues that you may find while developing your solutions. You will get money to help you put in resources, effort, addressing these challenges, up to 100,000 euros, as I stated. And this is again the same, almost the same diagram that you saw in the first slide, where in here, remarkably and noticeably, what you see different is the fact that we indicate what are the time periods during which each of the stages of the incubation process takes place. Observe, explore. In case you are one of the winning proposals, will span from September to October 2018. Then 4 months will be dedicated to the experiment phase in case you also qualify to the next stage. And finally, if you progress to the evolve stage, in March and April 2019, it will take place. At the bottom of the diagram, you see how many teams will be progressing across the different stages and the amounts of money you may get in case you fully accomplish the goals of each of the stages. And in this second diagram, you actually see what activities will be carried out during each of the stages. Okay, so the message that has to be left seeing this diagram is that open calls give place to proposals. Proposals that qualify to explore phase give place to mock-ups that are defended in a pitch, and those mock-ups, in case you are selected, mature into MVPs with sophisticated, convincing business plans. If you are convincing, if you qualify to the next stage, we will help you trying to gather further funding opportunities. So this is it from my side. Thank you for your attention. I don't know if you want to ask any questions now, or otherwise we progress to the presentation from Zavala and the data providers, and at the end you have time for questions.
Yes, I think it's best that we now go to the presentation from Sarah. So if you can share your screen now, Sarah, and Diego, stop sharing, please.
Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Sara from Zavala Innovation Consulting. And I'm part of the team in Zavala in charge of the call management in EDI project. So during my presentation, I will review the submission and proposal preparation process, the eligibility criteria that you have to take into account, the evaluation steps and conditions. Then I will summarize the results communication process, how this is implemented. And then we have today 4 of our data providers that will present their challenges in detail. And after that, we will have the opportunity to have all your questions and answer. So once we have the general overview provided by Diego as coordinator, I would like to focus on this first phase before the engagement of SMEs and startups in the project. I will speak about the submission and evaluation, that it's expected to last until August. So, if you are determined to prepare a proposal, the first thing that you have to do before starting with this is to read the guidelines. It's a very, very important thing, and it's the first step to get ready for the preparation. You have all the information in the guidelines. All the information that I will present today is more detailed in the guidelines, so please read them. So once you have all this information, the first thing to do is to choose a challenge from our catalog. As Diego already told, we have around 15 challenges. 14 of them are a specific challenge, and also we have 1 cross-sector challenge, more open, with the condition of using datasets from 2 different data providers. So, very important, select the challenge and be aligned with the challenge. In each challenge web page, you can find a summary of the challenge, the expected outputs, the partner in charge, so you have all the information there in the website. Second step, when you have your challenge identified, you have to use the data sets associated to this challenge that is available already in the website. You have in the challenge website a sample of the data that you will use if you are selected by the project. This is an example that to make your test, to experiment a bit, and then if you are selected, you will have access to a full data set. And very important, of course, is compulsory to use the data that we provide. You can add your own data, other different sources of data, but the minimum requirement is to use our data. The third thing, you have your proposal defined, you have your challenge, your solution, and it's time to submit the proposal. It must be done through the F6S platform. There is not other way to do that. You cannot use the email of the project or other tool. It must be done through the F6S platform. Through the submission, you can be selected in a process where you will gain up to 100,000 euros equity free. It means that this is a money that for free for you, and we don't take part in the company, we don't have access to your capital. It's totally equity free. And another thing that you have to take into account is that this money comes from the European Commission. This is public funding. The EDI project is a project funded through the Horizon 2020 program, and as a result, we have to comply with some easy conditions. For example, one of these conditions is that if you are funded, you have to disseminate and to inform that the funds received are easy funds. So, when do you prepare the proposal? What is this about? How is the proposal structure? We have an online form in the F6S platform. This is a short form with different fields with limited characters, and in this form, you can find different type of information requested. Some administrative information, some information about the challenge selected, about the team that will be taking part in the project, about the big data tools and technology used, or other questions related to market, business, growth strategy. It's very, very important to fill in all the fields available in the form. Don't let them empty, please. And another thing that it's part of the proposal is the declaration of honor. With this declaration, you have to agree that you have read all the information available for the project, that all the information provided in the proposal is true. So once we receive your proposal, the first thing that we will check is the eligibility compliance. We have 8 different criteria that we will check to see if the proposal is ready for evaluation. If you don't comply with these criteria, this is automatically discarded and it won't be evaluated. So take it into account when you prepare the proposal. Which are these criteria? Well, first of all, the first one is related to the eligible applicants. We can have applicants as SMEs, or also a group of individuals from 2 to 4 that are in the European Union or in associated countries. We follow the SME definition of the European Commission, and for the case of individuals, it's not necessary for them to be born in the European Union, but they must be established or working in the European Union or associated countries to be eligible. About the work included in the proposal, this description must be original, so avoid copy-paste. The third thing is that we have other project, datasets. This is a similar project to EDI that was funded 1 year before us. And we are in contact with them, so we won't fund projects that are previously funded by datasets. We don't want double funding, so if you are already a beneficiary in this project, avoid the application with us. And the fourth thing is that you have to use data from our catalog. Of course, this is a big data project, so you also have to use big data tools, big data technologies, and describe them in the form. Also, fill in the proposal with valid information. Be coherent, be clear. We don't want misleading information in the form. Also, clearly justify your selected challenge. You have to be aligned with this and solve the challenge, propose a solution to solve this challenge. And finally, to say that multiple participation is not allowed. If you submit more than one proposal, only the last one submitted will be taken into account for the evaluation. So if, for example, you are also an individual taking part in different groups, submitting different proposals, also it's forbidden to have two projects funded for the same individual. So you will have to choose in which group of individuals you want to take part. Well, in addition to the eligibility criteria that is of course public, we have also some red flags. These are indicators to assure the quality of the project selected that we have defined internally in the consortium. They are not public, but we think that they are important to select projects that are suitable for the incubation process. So we will also check if your project have any of these red flags before evaluating the project. These are different depending on the applicant profile. We consider that it's not the same an early stage applicant, and we talk here about teams of individuals or SMEs with less than 3 years from the establishment. And then we have other type of applicants that are established applicants with more than 3 years. So if you are eligible, you comply with the 8 eligibility criteria, and you don't have any red flag, you will start with the evaluation process. Here there are three different criteria. We have a technical approach criteria, business potential, and team composition. All the different criteria have a maximum of 5 points, and you need a minimum of 3 points per category to be approved. So in total, the minimum threshold to be approved is 12 points. In addition to this, we will also check if the challenge fit is okay. So to finish with the evaluation explanation, how you will be communicated about the results. We have 3 different situations. So if we check the eligibility of the project and this is not eligible, or if we find any red flag in your proposal, you will receive a rejection letter. If you are eligible and you don't have any red flag, you will go to the remote evaluation with a panel of experts in big data, in business, and also people from the consortium that will be in charge of the evaluation. If with this evaluation you don't reach the threshold of 12 points, you will receive a rejection letter. If you reach the threshold, you will go to the waiting list or to the pre-selected list if you are in the top 40, top 50 of the proposals. After that, if you are pre-selected, you will be invited to sign the grant agreement and be officially engaged in the project. So about the submission and evaluation, this is everything from my side. So now I would like to give the opportunity to Tiago Oliveira from SONAE, to Birol Oglu from MIGROS, to Christoph Neudart from UBIMED, and to Martín Massot from RACC four of our data providers, to explain their challenges more in detail. So please, Tiago.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Tiago Oliveira, I work at SONAE as a Senior Project Manager. And for those of you that don't know SONAE, we are Portugal's leading retailer, both on food and non-food retail, but the scope of this challenge is basically focused on food retail. One of our brands and the most well-known is Continent. You can see in the right one of our supermarkets, the entrance of our supermarkets, and also one of our fresh products sections in the picture below it. This is just an illustration of what we do. We are a big group with more than 5.6 billion euros of turnover, a little bit more than 3.5 billion in food retail. We have in total more than 40,000 employees, and we are present in 72 countries, but the food retail scope of SONAE is only present in Portugal. We have stores all over Portugal, more than 700 stores under our management. And as you can see, or as you can imagine, we have very much complexity in all of our processes, and we generate lots of data so that we can keep this business on track. We are also one of the biggest investors in R&D and innovation in Portugal, with more than 100 million euros per year. So we are very much delighted to work with the different startups that are willing to answer our challenge. Regarding our challenge in particular, so what we want to do is improve our existing levels of stock, security stocks. So by improving, I mean decreasing the security stocks, and therefore also decrease the waste that might be generated, because we might have, let's say, excess stock that is not sold and therefore can be considered waste. We should do this at the same time as we are trying to improve, or at least to maintain, the current out of stock levels. Out of stock levels is one of the most important metrics in retail, and this means that when a product is out of stock, it means that on the shelf in the supermarkets there isn't a product to sell, and this is a missed opportunity for sales, and also is something that the consumer doesn't want, because if he wants a certain product, it should be available on the stores. So what we want to do, and as you can imagine, the demand for the different products, it's variable, varies according to different factors, and we have, of course, a forecast of sales and a forecast of demand, but we need to have at least a certain amount of security stocks. So level of stocks, more stock than the stock that probably we will need, and as you can imagine, this is a very high cost for a retailer, especially like ours, where we have more than 50,000 different products. So we aim to decrease the security stocks while we'll maintain the current level, or at least, or probably improve our out of stock levels. We want to do this by decreasing more or less 10% the security stocks. One of the strategies that teams might follow, but this is just a suggestion, you can use other strategies, is by improving the forecasting error. But as you can imagine, the challenge is broader, so different strategies are welcome to be on board. In a nutshell, that's it. Feel free to ask any questions or drop me an email later on.
Hi, my name is Birol Yüceoğlu, and I'm representing MIGROS in the MIGROS Turkey in the EDI challenge. First of all, welcome to the webinar. SONAE, we are also a large FMCG retail chain. Currently, we have different brands and online. Turnover was more than 3 billion euros, and we have 17 distribution centers and almost 30,000 employees. A loyalty card program that was introduced in 1990 Turkey, and currently we have 10 million loyalty. 2013, we are also accredited by the Ministry of Science and Industry of Turkey. And at the moment, there are 90 people working on R&D projects at MIGROS. If we go, can we go to the challenge slide, Sarah? Thank you. Our challenge in the EDI project is predict fraud using transaction data. We have, in some of our stores, we have video camera surveillance systems that give us some labeled, verified fraudulent transactions. We want to be able to predict fraud involving employees and customers and products so that we focus our efforts on determined stores by the solution providers. Our objective is provide accurate prediction and reduce losses by 10%. We also would like to have insight into factors that determine fraudulent transactions, and finally, we want to provide decision makers insight into what kind of measures they can take for prevention, such as installing cameras, selecting stores that need to be surveilled in a more detailed fashion. So that's it for our challenge. We are looking forward to hearing your solutions, and if you have any here at the end of the webinar as well. Thank you.
Please, Christoph, you can start with your presentation.
Hello, this is Christoph from UBMET. UBMET is an international weather service provider with its headquarters in Vienna, Austria. We have been privately funded in 2004, and since 2012, Red Bull is a shareholder of our company. And we have basically three competence centers in our company that we do business with. So the first one is metrology. So this is about weather forecasting services. And the second one is severe weather warnings. So we do issue weather warnings for our customers and also for customers of our customers to inform them about upcoming severe weather situations. Both of those competence centers have been certified ISO 9001:2015 and are quality controlled all the time. The third one, which sounds like a pretty new one, the weather analytics topic, which came around in the recent years, is actually something we do since the very beginning, because severe weather warnings has to do with weather analytics. But we increased that topic and also started working with big data, and therefore we have increased our presence. We're a global weather service provider with 3 data centers around the world. One is based near New York, the other one Vienna, and the third one in Melbourne, Australia. So we serve customers in all of those continents. We have 6 offices worldwide, and we process about 70 terabytes of data every day. our challenge is about quality control of weather observation data. As you can think, observation data is a very crucial input for our products, whether it be analysis of the current situation or forecast models to predict the outcome of certain weather situations. Now, there are issues in the observations because they are done either manually or automatically and then submitted through various networks to our system. And we need to make sure that this input is valid, because if there is an error at this point in time, at this stage of the supply chain, we would produce also errors in our forecast and analysis products. So some examples of quality indicators that can be used are spatial consistency, temporal consistency, but also the consistency between certain sets of parameters within weather data. On the right-hand side, you can see an example of one of those data sets, and with one point in time where you can see there are two extremes in this data. And so the challenge in this situation is to detect whether these are erroneous data that is causing this issue, or if it's actually a real extreme that is happening right there. If you take, for example, temperature or pressure, there are extremes which are actually reality, but measurements which were incorrectly taken or did not have been calculated according to standards can also result in wrong values. So the challenge that we have is we want to have a real-time algorithm that is capable of detecting erroneous data in those data sets. And we have provided an example data set for this challenge. The result that you will produce will then be benchmarked against our quality control mechanism that we are using at the moment right now in order to determine how good your result works out. And we will take some scenarios from this data and look at them in detail and analyze how you came up with the conclusion, and to determine with metrologists whether this is real an error or if it was an extreme value that was really recorded there because it really happened there. Thank you.
Well, good morning. My name is Martin Masot and I work for the RACC. RACC is the biggest automotive club in Spain. We have almost 1 million members. The main services that we provide to them are roadside assistance, medical and legal advice, travel assistance and traffic information. Regarding traffic information, we should say that we are one of the main providers, and we mainly deliver this information through an app, InfoTransit, with 300K downloads. Besides that, we are as well an end user company representing the drivers and lobbying, among other things, for improving the road safety. If we can change to the next slide. Therefore, our objective, the objective of this challenge, is to increase the awareness of all the users of the road about its race, and therefore increase the levels of road safety. In this sense, users play a central role in this challenge. We want to reach them, we want to engage them using this new channel that offer the smartphone. In order to do so, we are part of EDI, and we are opening 2 different data sets. The first one containing road traffic accidents, and the second one containing basically morphological road parameters that we have obtained from doing kind of consultancy, kind of auditory of all the roads of Spain. And that's important. Now, in this first phase, we are only opening a sample of the full data set. Now we are only opening Barcelona province, but in the next phases, we will open the rest of Spain. So therefore, the solution, the challenge might apply or could apply to the rest of Spain, to the whole Spain. And more or less that would be all.
Okay, so thank you very much to all the data providers for your explanation. And now we have a session dedicated to questions and answers. Just to inform that you have also available in the website a facts section where you have frequently asked questions that it's very useful. Also, you can send us an email to the open call at edincubator.eu email address. And of course, now you can launch your questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Please introduce yourself before the questions and feel free to write them down on the chat as well, and we will read them. Who would like to start? Okay, we have a first question here from Cyprian. If we apply as a team of individuals, 2 to 4, not incorporated, how much time do we have to incorporate?
When you talk about incorporate, it's because you don't have the people identified in the proposal phase?
It means I understand that Cyprian is saying that he's not settled as a company, correct?
Okay, yeah. We also found groups of individuals that are not part of a company. They can be individuals that are part of a group applying together to the project.
Okay, so second question from Danielle. We have a set of questions. Yeah, so you can write shall we write them to the open call email or directly to the data provider?
Well, the idea is to send an email to the general email address, and then we can put you in contact with the specific data provider you need.
Okay.
Okay. I would like, sorry to interrupt. I would like to comment something about the first question regarding the individuals. Teams of individuals are allowed to participate only in the explore phase. If you want to progress, if that team wants to progress to experiment phase, it is a compulsory requirement that they constitute a company to progress to that second stage, okay? This is clearly indicated in the call, in instructions of the call for participants.
Okay, so the third question. Elliot from Deep Data Analytics, could you explain a bit more about the red flag part? Who is being red flagged?
Well, they are indicators that we set internally. They are not public, so we cannot give more information about it. But they are things that we consider necessary to have a successful proposal for a successful incubation process. But they will be public after the open call deadline.
Yeah, the strategy, as Sarah mentions, is that we really are funding teams that want to give place to a new sustainable data solution. So this is the key thing. You have to demonstrate that that's the case in a convincing manner. We have to be as vague as Sarah mentioned, but this is the only hint I can give you.
Okay, next question from Corina from Softcentrica. Thank you for your question. If we train a model on one of the provided datasets, the trained model will belong to us. Is that right?
Yes, the intellectual property of the software created belongs only to subgrantees, only to subgrantees. The datasets belong only to data providers. If a new dataset is generated with inputs from the data provider's dataset, there are low-level things that will have to be looked at carefully with the data provider, the consortium leader, me, the coordinator, and the team itself. Theoretically, all the new data aggregated, as long as it is anonymized, it should belong to the solution provider. But it is very clear that solution providers won't be able to use the original or the original data set unless an agreement is reached with the data provider. The original data belongs to the data provider. The side effects of that data set, they do belong to the solution provider. But they won't be able to include those side effects or those increments, those deltas, together with the original data set. The original data set only belongs to the data provider.
Okay. Second question from Karina. Are the questions in the business section, question 47 to 50, general or about the product that we want to develop? Same clarification needed with question 44. It concerns the business model around the product we want to develop. Is that correct?
Okay, I can ask. You have to make your questions, make your answers in relation to the product that you will be developing during the project. Other products that you have in your company as part of your business can be also included in other sections, for example, like the section dedicated to the team description.
Karina, is that clear for you? Okay, great. Then from Helen, in the questionnaire there is a mention of the marketing plan. Do we need to write a marketing plan?
Oh yes, if in the section for a market plan, you have to respond to this question. Yeah, at least an estimation, the best estimation you can.
Okay, then greetings from Lisbon. Would like to raise two questions. This is from Roberto. Yeah, we wanted to clarify the issues related to the red flags during the evaluation. I think Sarah already answered this. Do you want to say something else about it, Sarah?
No, the same that I've already said, and also Diego said, we cannot provide more information about it.
Okay, and he wants to ask more information regarding original work, not to use, of course, Control-C, Control-V. The form doesn't allow to have text copied from a Word, for example. Well, definitely, it must be original work in your application form. Then we have Alexander Major from Innocence. The first question, can we use data sets from one challenge to solving another challenge?
In principle, not, but you can use open data sets and data sets. The thing is that when you qualify to take part in the explore phase, when you are one of the winners of the open calls, you will sign a contract, and in that contract, you will have to, well, you will be registered whether you are addressing a specific challenge or a cross-cutting challenge. In the first case, you will be given access only to the data sets associated to that challenge. In the cross-cutting challenge, you will be given access to all the data sets involved in that cross-cutting challenge. So maybe if you are already envisaging that you want to mix 2 or more data sets from 2 different providers, this is the case when you are creating a new challenge, when you are addressing a cross-cutting challenge. So it can be inspired by one of the existing challenges, and you will have to augment it to clearly state why it's going to cover 2 or more sectors or 2 or more companies.
Okay, Alexander and Maja are also asking if we can elaborate on the use of data sets to solve issues not mentioned in the challenges. Is this possible?
Well, I think you're going to be assessed about how well you address the challenge from the data provider. So it is in your interest to focus on that. Of course, if you go for a cross-cutting challenge, then you can be more imaginative and obviously address other aspects that you thought could be challenges of interest for different industrial sectors. So as you can see in all my answers, it looks like if you go for the cross-cutting challenge strategy, you have a bit more freedom about what you actually come up with, about the solution, a bit more flexibility. If you go for a specific challenge, first and foremost, you must prove that you are able to address that challenge. And of course, if you can go beyond, that could be very well considered by the external evaluators and also the company behind, the data provider behind, will be delighted to discover other aspects that your solution could help them to solve or to address.
Great, thank you. And now we have a question from Anneli from Wings. There are data providers that haven't provided a challenge yet. Should we wait for their challenge for this first open call?
No, in this first open call, what you see is what you get. In the next rounds, we envisage that those data providers will be offering challenges. We will be pushing them to provide challenges. The reason why some have not published challenges is because they were having issues ensuring that their data sets were anonymized suitably to later release them and make them usable by open call winners. But in the next round, you'll see them.
I also had a question before regarding when would the next round open?
You have to look at the calendar that both Sarah and me showed. Open calls will take place, will start in April 2018 was the first one. In April 2019 will be the second one. In April 2020 will be the third one.
Yeah, so every year, more or less with the same schedule.
Yes.
And we will announce the dates later on. Second question from Nelly. There are data sets, samples with rather old records. Will the actual data set contain more recent records in general?
The answer to that is yes. In fact, some of the open call participants or candidates have already contacted us through through the email addresses provided to give support to the open call or to the project in general, and some of their questions were actually forwarded to the data providers. One concrete question was precisely about that, about whether more up-to-date data will be provided, and the answer was yes. So I would imagine that in general, yes, you will be provided with more up-to-date data. You will have full access to the data only when you embarked into the experiment stage of the incubation.
Question from Mark from Dusseldorf. Hi, Mark. So we have, if we would have a proposal for an alternative challenge with one of the data providers, would it be possible to discuss that, or would it automatically disqualify from the project?
You're going to be assessed according, you have to select what challenge you apply for, or whether you choose cross-cutting. So I don't know, Sarah, what you're feeling, but in principle, not, unless you can devise a strategy of presentation around a cross-cutting challenge. But then you are forced to mix data sets from 2 or more data providers.
Yeah, one of the eligibility criteria is to select a challenge and explain how you solve this. So as Diego says, it's necessary to identify one of the proposed challenges we have.
Okay, we hope this is clear. Hi from Marco from Macedonia. Question about eligibility of their country. Is it recommended to join the EU to be able to apply for the open call?
Well, Macedonia is one of the associated countries that is eligible. So there is no problem with this country. It's eligible.
You are welcome.
We wait for your application, Marco. Another question from Elliot regarding the question for which product. The question, product description, please describe which products, services you sell, value proposition, unique selling point, addressed need, solution. This aims for our current projects. No?
Well, in principle, in the form, you have to include information in relation to the solution, to the product that you propose for any project. All information regarding current products, other business different to the one proposed for EDI, must be explained in other sections like team field, for example. Anyway, if this is not clear and you have very specific questions with the form, you can email to the EDI Incubator email address, and we will check it in detail.
Okay. Cyprian, are UK-based SMEs eligible?
Yes, they are. Until 2020, until the end of H 2020, they are eligible.
Okay, now we have one question from to one of our data providers, to Marty. I'm wondering, let me see if he's in the call. Yes. So the question for Marty, and please do prepare any questions that you have for our data providers. They're also here to help you. So in order to obtain certain data related to the safety of the driver, he considers evaluating proposals that include, for example, sensors applied to the vehicles in order to obtain context information related to the driver's behavior and its location. This is for RACC.
Yes, this is Martin from RACC. Well, we would be open to that, since since you use our data, we understand that you can mix it with data that you can obtain from these sensors. Yes, in principle, I don't see an objection.
Great, thank you, Marty and Roberto, for your question. From Jan, do I understand correctly that the call of April this year is still open until June 27? Yes.
Yeah, in fact, I have this last slide to be very clear on the deadline. Yeah, and remember that it finishes at noon, 12 p.m. and noon, midday, not midnight. After this time, we are not allowed to accept any proposal.
Okay, so don't forget to submit your application by 27 June at noon. So question from David from Sonveld about competitors. We don't have competitors in the radar, so the next question does apply, which is question number 57. Provide a list of your direct and indirect competitors. Which is your added value towards them?
Well, if you are sure that you don't have competitors, explain this information in the form, and if you have other indirect competitors, include this information. I recommend not to have any empty space in the form. Complete everything and explain everything.
Yeah, so we do have you can see in the form the questions that are yes, no problem, Solvent. So you can see in the form the questions that are mandatory, and all the questions are in fact mandatory, even if it doesn't have a star in there. So as Sarah was saying, fill in all the fields. Diego was also sharing the email. Sarah has also in the slide, in the previous slide, so you can direct all your questions to opencall@edincubator.eu. So other questions we have from Mark. Algorithms are difficult or even impossible to patent. How do you treat confidentiality in this process? Will you be ready to sign NDAs?
Well, in the contract that open goal winners will have to sign in order to also get money from the consortium, one of the clauses will be regarding the intellectual property, who is the owner. And in this case, as I said already, you're going to be the owners of all your creations. And this means that neither the project nor the data provider will have access or will be able to exploit it. You will be provided a hosting environment where the computations will take place. So there, obviously, you may deploy your algorithms, but it is the commitment of the consortium and the data providers that they cannot use this code without your permission, without reaching an agreement with you. So this will be part of the contract that the consortium will sign with every open call winner. You will have some benefits, some obligations, and also some rights. And those will be gathered in the contract that you will all have to sign with the consortium.
Question from, again, how long on average does it take for you to decide if an own proposal is eligible based on datasets in the catalog?
Well, the evaluation process finishes by the end of August. So basically we have 2 months to do the assessment. So actually our commitment is that you will get notifications about whether you were selected or not by early September, by the first week of September, something like that. So this is the absolute deadline when you will get feedback from us.
Question from Cyprian. If selected with an SME, is it allowed to incorporate a new company and have the funding and contracts and agreements on that one?
Well,
on the new company.
Proposals from SMEs are allowed only from individual SMEs, not in cooperation with other companies. So if you're proposing the collaboration of two SMEs, it's not possible. I don't know if this is the question.
Cyprian, is this answering your question? Okay, can you please, okay, we will follow up by email. We had here, Salvat again, yes, we do recommend to fill in all the fields in the application form. Also, is open source supported if we want to implement everything out in the open?
Yeah, you're welcome. Actually, what we're going to assess is whether you're going to adopt open source tools on big data. It is not compulsory that you only use open source tools, but the ones that will be made available for all of you to use will be actually a stack of tools that are based on open source. So yes, the project wants to demonstrate that the current open source technologies to enable different ways of processing information, stream-oriented or offline, are able to provide successful, efficient, and effective solutions to data provider challenges.
Question now from Idalzovo. Can you share a little bit more, on the IT infrastructure that you will provide in terms of technology, computing power, space limits, and other relevant features?
Okay, this is something that will be published soon. We are not supposed to disclose, or the deadline to disclose details with the Commission is by September 2018. But what I can tell you is that we are inspired in some common big data stacks like Cloudera or Hortonworks. So we will be providing Hadoop family tools. We will be providing Spark. We will be providing the standard tools, the most standard tools that are being used currently to do big data solutions. So this is what you will find. We have to provide the most generic infrastructure that is possible to cater for the solutions that will be made available by all of you. So, and also in time for other iterations, in case we don't integrate a tool which is demonstrated to be really useful, we have the commitment to eventually incorporate it. But I don't know if I answered it to you. We will make more details available soon.
Okay, yeah, Jan is asking, he thought that there would be a feedback moment with every proposal before we could they could send it in, just to know that the proposal based on data sets from the catalog is okay. He is now understanding that the only parameter is to use data from the catalog and that it is eligible for submission. Any comment on this?
Well, not only to say that, yeah, you have to use data sets from the challenge. This is something that you have to comply to be eligible. If you have any doubt related to the challenge, to the data set, to the, well, if you want to check if the solution proposed fit the challenge, it's possible to, well, to make questions through the open call email address, and you can check different things with the data provider.
Okay, question from Mark. He wonders whether data providers such as GOT Internet Media will also have challenges.
As I said, they will have challenges for sure from the second round of incubation onwards.
Yeah, so for this first open call, which closes on the 27th of June, no, but for the second or third round, yes.
Well, actually, I'm saying something wrong because JOT already has challenges. You go to that URL that I posted there. Sorry, I made a mistake. This was basically an answer saying that those data providers that don't have a challenge, they will eventually have them for other rounds. But in the case of JOT, there are 2 challenges which are published in the link I just posted to the chat.
Okay, so Mark, you can follow the information on the link that Diego already provided. And it also is asking whether the IT details will be available before or after the 27th of June deadline.
We don't need to provide them before, but again, if you go to the tools that assemble Cloudera or Hortonworks distributions, you can assume that the common tools, the most common tools in those stacks are going to be available. And also, another important thing, you are not forced to use our big data tools, okay? I think it's in your interest to use it because we will cover the CPU, so the execution time, the computation, and the storage costs. But you are free to use your own cloud computing infrastructure as long as you preserve the confidentiality clauses that will be agreed on with the contract. I mean, as long as you don't do something illegit, something that is not legal with the data set offered by the data provider.
Will there be GPU support?
No, in the first round. That answer I can give straight away. Regretfully, in the freely available cloud environment, there won't be GPU support for the first iteration.
Okay, so I don't have any other questions. Is there anyone else that would like to make any question? If so, could you please write it now? Okay. Yes, we will not be sharing the number of applicants. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. You can see in the slides the email for asking for more information. We will be assisting you until the very end. Don't wait until the end to finalize and submit your application, but to reach out to us for any questions that you may have. And we are looking forward to receiving your applications.
Okay, thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.